Shalom, shalom. Once again, this brother Bomber I got a great millstone camp in Austin coming at you with a quick lesson. And this lesson is going to be a lineback of our brother Isacar Tazamach, who's also from GMS Austin. He did a lesson earlier today going into Daniel, the 9th chapter and the 12th verse. So in this lesson, it's going to be a lineback off of that lesson. So before I get started, I want to give all honor, all glory, all praise to the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rekahakwadash. I want to give double honors to my apostles, my bishops, my elders, a great millstone. I want to give double honors to the high priest elders that taught those men. Salutations to you brothers that are presenting your bodies as a living sacrifice, pushing the gospel of the Lord, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, through the four corners of the earth. And to you believers, the Akim and Akwathian, to you I say Shalom. And again, this brother Malak at a great millstone Austin, who's doing a lineback, our brother Tazamach, who's also from GMS Austin. So I pray that this lesson be edifying to the elect of the house of Israel. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. This lesson of Daniel, the 9th chapter, the 12th verse. Again, the book of Daniel, chapter 9 and verse 12. And he have confirmed his words, which he spake against us and against our judges that judged us, by bringing upon us a great evil. For under the whole heaven have not been done as have been done upon Jerusalem. And we know Jerusalem, we're a people before we're a place. We know that Jerusalem is a people before it's a place. We're going to look up this word Jerusalem. Jerusalem. Strong's G 3389.
Strong's H 3389. Yerushalayim. Yerushalayim. Second entry. Yerushalayim.
Jerusalem.
Yerushalayim.
Jerusalem. And the outline of biblical usage is what? The teaching of peace. The teaching of peace. That's what Jerusalem means. Teaching of peace. And you know, you Negro, Latinos, and Native Americans who are the biblical Israelites, we are a peaceful people. And we are teaching, this gospel is a teaching of peace. It's not teaching you to go draw unto the sword. You know, we draw when we are under any kind of adversity as a nation of people as a whole. Our people have a zeal of the Most High, but not according to knowledge. But we are what? We draw right nearer to the Lord, Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shai. Whereas Esau Edom, the so-called self-professed white man, he draw to his sword. See, that's why it means what? The teaching of peace. When they turn to the sword, we turn to the Holy Scriptures. That's why the name of Jerusalem, Jerusalem, is the teaching of peace. So let's go back to Daniel, the 9th chapter. Let's read it once again. It said, and he have confirmed his words, which he spake against us, and against our judges that judged us, by bringing upon us a great evil. And what was that great evil? That great evil was what? You know, you can say the Middle Passage, the transatlantic slave trade. You can say, if you want to just get to the modern day terms, he brought against us what? Black codes, Jim Crow. It brought against us what? These are evils that the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai brought against our people, man. You know what? Those sundown towns, FHA denials, media demonization. You know, the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, and he used Esau Edom, the so-called self-professed white man, what? You know, that bring these things upon us. Matter of fact, let's go to the book of Psalms, the 17th chapter. The book of Psalms, chapter 17, and verse 13. The book of Psalms, chapter 17 and verse 13, it says, arise, O Lord Yahweh, disappoint him, cast him down, deliver my soul from the wicked, which is thy sword. Verse 14, from men which are thy hand, O Lord Yahweh, from men of the world, which have their portion in this life, and whose belly thou fillest with thy hid treasures, which would be you Negro, Latinos, and Native Americans, who are what? Indeed, the biblical Israelites that the Bible speaks of. For they are full of children and leave the rest of their substance to their babes. And Esau Edom, he lose his substance, which is his wealth. From his, how do he accumulate that generational wealth? Through land purchases, through real estate, through through real estate. That's how you gain wealth. And I did a chat GPT, and I asked chat GPT what was the overall effects of what is that? Media demonization, black codes, and what are FHA loan denials, against the effects on the so-called blacks and Hispanics. And they came up with a list of things. But we're going to look up this word right here, hand. Verse 14, it says, from men which are thy hands. Look up this word, from men which are thy hand. Strong's H, 3027.
Strong's H, 3027. Yad. Yad.
Hand. Outline of biblical usage. It says what? Strength and power. And what? Esau Edom, because the earth is given into the hands of the wicked, he covereth the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he? That's still a mystery to 2/3 of you Negro, Latinos, and Native Americans. But Esau, he yields the power in his kingdom. This is his heaven. This is his heaven, and this is our hell, you Negro, Latinos, and Native Americans. This is our hell, because he yield the strength and the power. And we're gonna go down here to the Strong's definition, and we're gonna prove that right here. As you can see, it says strength and power, creditors. Matter of fact, let's go back up. It says yard, a hand, creditor, custody. We're what? We're in the hands of the wicked, man, because we're in their custody. What? We owe them a debt. And to prove that we owe Esau Edom a debt, let's go to the debt clock. It's nothing hard. The U.S. national debt, as you see, it's at $39 trillion. And to the right of that, it said debt per person, $114,137. It said debt per taxpayer is $357,070. So we're indebted to Esau Edom, the so-called self-professed white man. So when we go creditor, custody, debt, and dominion, let's look up this word dominion. Let's look up that word dominion. And they have dominion over you Negro, Latinos, and Native Americans. And to prove it, y'all will continue to fight against what? White supremacy. So what? Supremacy, dependency, sovereignty, or control. And what? Esau, he has what? This is his sovereignty. And his sovereignty is slowly being taken away because the elite of the Edomites, they are not what? They haven't shared in the wealth gap between the bottom half of the so-called Edomites. So what? So this is their sovereignty and control. This, if you can receive this, we know that fools hate knowledge. Scriptures tell us that in the book of Proverbs. I think the first chapter tells us that fools hate knowledge. So we go back to the book of Psalms, chapter 17. Let's go back to 13. It said, arise, O Lord Yahweh, disappoint him, cast him down, deliver my soul from the wicked, which is thy sword. Verse 14, from men, which are thy hand. We just looked up the hand. It goes into debt. It goes on to control, supremacy. Of thy hand, O Lord Yahweh, from men of the world. And these are the men of the world, which have their portion in this life. And Esau Edom, what? He's benefited, from what? The media demonization. He's benefited from the FHA loan denials of you Negro, Latinos, and Native Americans. And he's benefited of black codes. And we're going to look up those things, those terms. To have their portion in this life, and whose belly thou fillest with thy hidden treasures. And you Negro, Latinos, and Native Americans, we are the hidden treasures of the Most High Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shah. Because what? Esau Edom and the other heathen nations, they don't recognize us as being a treasure of the Most High Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shah. For they are full of children and leave the rest of their substance to their babes. And they leave the rest of their substance to their babes. So let's go to this chat GDP. And it's going, now I got to punch it in again. It's like you for that. Let's see. Overall effects of black codes. Let's see, media demonization and FHA loan denials. Loan denials. Against, I use blacks. Now let's read it. It said the combined impact of black codes, media demonization, and FHA loan denials, redlining on blacks and Hispanic communities have been deep, long-lasting, and interconnected. Close. It said these weren't isolated issues. They reinforce each other across generations. Economic inequality of wealth. It said after the American Civil War, black codes restricted freedom and economic mobility for formerly enslaved people. Later, FHA loan denial policies in the 20th century systematically blocked blacks and Hispanic families from home ownership. Home ownership is the main way most Americans build wealth. See? Because what? The earth is given into the hands of the wicked. And Esau Edom, he is that wicked Rashah. He's a criminal. It says home ownership is the main way most Americans build wealth. And then just go back to Daniel, the 9th chapter, the 12th verse. Being denied loans meant missing decades of property appreciation. White family passed down wealth, many black and Hispanic families could not. Results, massive racial wealth gap that exists today, 2026. It still exists today. Let's go. Residential segregation and community disinvestment through redlining, discriminatory lending. The blacks and Hispanic families were confined to certain neighborhoods. Let's see what these neighborhoods will do. These areas often had lower funding for schools, infrastructure, and services. Property values were internationally suppressed. Results, concentrated poverty and fewer opportunities across generations. That's educational inequality. Because U.S. schools are largely funded by local property taxes, segregation, lower value neighborhoods, underfunded schools, fewer resources, large class sizes, outdated material. Results, reduced access to quality education and limited upward mobility. Let's go to, now we're going to talk criminalization and mass incarceration. Black codes criminalize minor behaviors like vagrancy, leading to forced labor systems such as convict leasing. Convict leasing, pretty much they put your ass in jail, had you working for pennies on a dollar. Later, the media narrative often portrayed black and Hispanic individuals as more criminal, and that's that media demonization. Why? Because of what? Psalm 17, 13, and 14. And again, Job 9 and 24. It say influenced public perception and policies contributed to harsher policing and sentencing, because what? Esau Edom, they used that media, ABC News, CBS News, MSNBC, CNN, they used all the medias. Anytime one person, one so-called black or a so-called Hispanic done something, they put that on the whole Hispanic or the black race. That's media demonization. Results, disproportionate incarceration rates and long-term social disruption. Just like when they put crack cocaine in your neighborhoods, and then I think it's 2020 or maybe 2017, 2018, when they had the 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 medication that people was getting hooked on. I forgot the name of it. When the so-called Edomites started getting hooked on it, that's a name for it. Damn, I can't recall it right now. Brothers can help me out with it. It's a prescription opioids. Yeah, when Esau got hooked on the opioid epidemic, they started bringing out resources. But when they put the crack and all these other drugs in your communities, they use that to lock you up. So that's Esau Edom, man. It said negative portrayals in news and entertainment frame minorities as dangerous, lazy, dependent, reinforce bias in hiring policy, policing, and everyday interaction. Results: systemic discrimination became socially justified and normalized. And that's what Esau do. Because all it takes is one Jake. All it takes is one Hispanic, and they Jakes as well, to do something. And Esau media, they'll jump on it like fucking flies on shit, and they'll demonize the whole community. Health disparities, segregated neighborhoods, and economic inequality led to less access to quality health care, more exposure to pollution and unsafe living conditions, food deserts, and chronic stress, higher rates of disease like hypertension, diabetes, and lower life expectancy. See, Esau, he's the damn devil that the Bible speaks of, and there's plenty of other. Again, they had Jim Crow. I could easily put all those in, but we was talking about, the media demonization, talking about FHA loan, which denied you Negro, Latinos, and Native Americans from accessing wealth in America. And we talked about the black codes, and the black codes where they could just pull you off the streets and put you in jail. And police your communities at a higher rate. So they can have higher charges on you Negro, Latinos, and Native Americans. Man, this is just this has all been done through Esau Edom. But ultimately, it was on the hand of the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shah. He used Esau Edom to judge us like that. Let's see. Intergenerational effects. These systems didn't just affect one generation. See, these systems didn't just, this one just, oh yeah, that happened in the 1930s or the 1940s. No, man. Let's read it. These systems didn't just affect one generation. Wealth, education, and opportunity gaps were passed down. Psychological impacts, stress, mistrust, institutions also carried forward. Persistent inequality even after the laws changed. Bottom line, the overall effect has been systemic inequality, not just in one area, but across wealth, housing, educational, health, criminal justice. These forces work together to limit opportunity, concentrate disadvantages, shape the social and economic realities many blacks and Hispanic communities still face today. And this is Esau Edom. This is what he has done to you Negro, Latinos, and Native Americans. He've always put goddamn roadblocks, in your way. This is the white man, and he's doing it now. Look what he's doing to Memphis down there. And just to throw this out, you niggas, y'all don't need to be voting no way. I made plenty of lessons, on you Negro, Latinos, and Native Americans have proven, over and over and over again that y'all do not know how to make a right decision. The right decision is to turn to the Most High Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai. Matter of fact, let's get that real quick. Let's go to the book of Psalms. The book of Psalms, chapter 118 and 8. It is better to trust in the Lord Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, than to put confidence in man. It is better to trust in the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai than to put confidence in man. And furthermore, the Lord said if we pick a ruler, we should pick a ruler out of our own nation. That's who we pick our rulers from our own nation. We don't pick a ruler from someone who's predisposed to being a white supremacist. How's a nigga that's predisposed to being a white supremacist, how is he gonna help your community? That's how I prove that you niggas are stupid, man. And you don't have to like my language, how I call, but 2/3 of y'all are just stupid niggas. Matter of fact, and the brother, let's go to the book of Revelation, this 17th chapter. And we're going to read verse 5 because the book of Revelation, chapter 17 and verse 5. And this is what? America, Babylon the Great, mystery Babylon the Great, which is America. And upon her forehead was the name written, Mystery Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots, the abomination of the earth. You know, the abomination of the earth, because what? Everything that they deem to be righteous, you know, homosexuality, you know, that's why it's the abomination of the earth. They try to pass that down to the other countries. And the other countries don't believe in the things that America, Babylon the Great believes in, man. This is Sodom and Egypt. You know, Sodom because of all the wicked ass homosexuality stuff that takes place here. In Egypt, because we was what? Our captivity. And again, let's go to the book of James, and we'll close it out here. Let's go to the book of James, chapter 2. Let's go to verse 13. The book of James, chapter 2 and verse 13. For he, Esau, Edom, the so-called self-professed white man, the biblical Edomites, for he shall have judgment without mercy that have showed no mercy, and mercy rejoices against judgment. Let's read in NLT. It said, there will be no mercy for those who have not shown mercy. Esau, Edom, they haven't shown no mercy, man, to you Negro, Latinos, and Native Americans. But if you have been merciful, Yahweh will be merciful when he judges you. And so that proves that Esau, Edom could never be what? He haven't shown no mercy. The scriptures in the Romans, the 12th chapter, tell us if all possible, live peaceably with all men. Esau, Edom haven't proven that he can live peaceably with all men. Hence, that's why he's continuing to try to march through the earth and take everyone's natural resources. So I'm going to close it out there. I pray this lesson been edifying. I want to give all honor, all glory, all praise to the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Rekah HaKodash. I want to give double honors to my apostles, my bishops, my elders of Great Millstone. I want to give double honors to the high priest elders that taught those men. Salutations to you brothers that are presenting your bodies as a living sacrifice, pushing the gospel of the Lord, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, through the four corners of the earth. Shalom.